Codewords is a workflow automation tool where you're able to just build any tools that you need just using chat. But with us, you can just type in that, okay, I want to have a WhatsApp bot.
So what would you say is maybe your differentiator?
You can combine lots of different steps to a workflow. We basically have around 2,000 integrations.
What sort of things have you literally been designing?
I'm still spending a lot of time on the actual screens and what are users seeing, how are they using it, like their agent personality.
What's exciting you the most about the work that you're doing?
On making AI a bit more understandable through using these new tools. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot to be excited about.
What's your workflow?
We're thinking of a better name for it, but it's called custom UI. This is a very random example. Pricing model is going to change. I think we're moving more towards usage-based. I think we'll still have SaaS tools. It is easy to build, but maintaining and scaling is still really hard. I'm using Granola a lot for the note-taking.
Could you not use Codewords for the note-taking though?
I like the user experience more of Granola. I still strongly believe that design is the differentiator.
How are you translating V0 stuff, then going into Cursor?
Well, we have the design system in Storyblock now. We've never had a PM in our company.
Yeah, what's the worst thing about working at an AI startup? There's only 8 people at your company. I don't know if we said that.
Actually, now 9. How do you see the future of the designer role?
Hi, Isha. Thank you for joining today. I'm looking forward to talk everything Codewords, AI, and everything else.
Hi, Dean. Thank you for having me.
You obviously work at Codewords. So for anyone who doesn't know what Codewords is, what is it and what do you guys do?
Yeah, Codewords is a workflow automation tool. So basically, I don't know if you've heard of N8N. So it's kind of similar to where you can automate different things, but instead of needing to be quite technical to do that, you can just do that via chat. So I would almost even put it into the personal software space where you're able to just build any tools that you need, as complex as they may be, just using chat.
Yeah, that sounds great. And so in terms of workflows, one example, very simple one might be maybe you've got a social media, presence and you wanted to scrape the comments from your social media to see what people say, and then it could just do that. You just say scrape it and it'd go to your social media, as opposed to maybe trying to select all of the comments and then copy and paste them. It would just go and do that as an agent.
Yeah. That's a really good example because scraping is one of our most popular use cases now, and you can even take it to the next level where it's you say you want to see everyone who commented on this LinkedIn post. You can just put in the link to the LinkedIn post. It scrapes all the comments. It enriches all of the people with their LinkedIn profile, their company name, maybe their company email, and maybe even creates an outreach message that you can send them. So it's kind of you can connect these multiple parts of a workflow together just by prompting it.
Amazing. And what would you say at the moment, obviously, you don't know what people are going to use it for, right? And there's going to be emerging kind of use cases that you may be not even aware of. But at the moment, if you were to say to someone why they might use it, or what the most common use case currently is, you said obviously scraping. But is there any other things that you would say, okay, this is being used, for example, for my emails and kind of synthesizing those so I don't have to go through every email? Or what would the common use cases?
No, it's a good question. And I think that's also touches on a broader subject of that you have all these tools out there, but how does it actually, how do I fit it into my daily life? And I think right now what we're seeing most people use it for are, one is the scraping, a lot of enriching information, a lot of LinkedIn automation as well, because I think a lot of other tools struggle with LinkedIn because LinkedIn has a lot of safety guards and stuff, but our co-founder has managed to crack it. So a lot of LinkedIn automations, like auto reply, where maybe he had a problem for himself where he would get so many messages every day, and it basically drafts a reply to each of those messages, and he can kind of edit it and check it before he sends it. A lot of other people, I'm using it a lot for my own user research as well. So for example, right now the tool has awareness of our whole user base, and whenever I have a user interview, I just go to it and say okay, I'm about to have an interview with this person. Can you tell me more about their latest usage data? What are they building? Where are some places they got stuck? And what are some good questions that might be worth asking in a user interview? And it's able to give me at least a first draft of that information. So I think a lot of people using it where like they give the context of their product to it, and then they're able to query it and ask relevant questions as well. Yeah, there's also like one which is WhatsApp automation. So I think again, if you were to build like your own WhatsApp automation, it's like a bit technical for people and there's a lot of steps required. But with us, you can just type in that, okay, I want to have a WhatsApp bot where I can just, maybe it sends me like a poem every Friday, or anytime something goes on sale, I like a specific item that I really want. I wanted to send me a message on WhatsApp, and it just tells me that as well.
That's really cool. It sounds amazing. And you're saying it's really actually quite easy to do, you're saying?
It's just a prompt. Like you're literally you're just telling it what to do.
And so what would you say is like fundamentally different to maybe some other platforms that are, because it sounds like it's kind of an agent, right? A workflow agent or agents. And so what would you say is maybe your differentiator?
I think it's a good question with like so many tools out there now. I think one thing is the complexity of the kind of things that you can build. So like I mentioned, you don't have to just build things in isolation. You can combine lots of different steps to a workflow, again, just with a prompt. And I think it's, these integrations like WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Apollo. We basically have like around 2,000 integrations now. So you can just build with any of your tools, really. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible, where it is really just like you talking to the agent, like either prompting, or we just added voice mode as well, where you can just talk through your problem instead of a solution. Because something we've also noticed with our users is like they don't exactly know what they need, like what is the workflow that they need, but they know the problem that they're having. So we've tried to encourage people to just talk through their problem, and then Cody, which is like our own agent, kind of guides them through a solution and builds it for them. And there's a bit of like back and forth. So yeah, we've tried to make it like kind of much easier to use than some other tools out there.
And from a design point of view, what one thing that's interesting for designers at the moment is they're thinking, okay, there's these AI companies and I would love to design for an AI first company, right? But some of those AI companies, maybe you wouldn't actually be designing much, right? Like sometimes in some situations they might, because most of it is maybe the magic is not necessarily in the front end work that you're doing, is obviously in the back end, which is fine. But I was wondering, what from Codewords seems different today. It seems like there is a lot to design and there's lots to consider. So I'd love to know, what sort of things have you literally been designing?
It's interesting because I feel like it's changed even just so much in the last few months, because I think I'm still spending a lot of time on the actual screens and what are users seeing, how are they using it, and a lot of states as well. Like maybe you have like one chat interface, the kind of classic chat interface on the left and like a canvas on the right. But there's just so many states now of like what happens when the agent does this, like what does the user see, what happens if, they move their thinking and there's an error, like what do we show the user. So I feel like I'm spending so much more time on those kind of things. And then also on just like the agent personality or the agent experience of like what happens if a user asks this, how should it reply, what happens if the user gets stuck, what happens if they need user input, what happens if it's going to take maybe 20 minutes to do something, like do we what happens if it's going to cost the user much more, like at what point do we tell the user, at what point do we like hide some things to not overwhelm the user as well. So I feel like those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about. And sometimes the output of that is more of just, it's not even something that you see, it's just a response from the agent. So yeah, I feel like I'm spending more time on that, which is like even a year ago, I wouldn't have done that.
And so what's exciting you the most about the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I feel like it's a combination of like the impact that I think that the work that I'm doing as a designer is making, just on like making AI a bit more hopefully understandable to people. Because I think there's this really big gap right now where I don't know, I think even for myself, like it's sometimes overwhelming, right? There's just so much going on. And I think I really want to try and just make it a bit more simple for people to use. And I feel like through this tool, we're kind of trying to do that and to make it actually relevant to their day to day. And I'm just excited about like trying so many different tools. I feel like I'm quite lucky to have a lot of autonomy, that whenever there's something new, I can just be like, okay, I'm going to spend a couple of hours just exploring this and then like share my thoughts after or something like that. I feel like I'm spending more time on the things that I really find interesting, which is like more of the interaction design and the experience side of things, through using these new tools. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot to be excited about.
On that, it'd be interesting to understand your workflow, because lots of businesses and designers in businesses, whether they're working in an AI company or not, their workflows are changing and how they do things. And Codewords is obviously a tool that's, hopefully will become more of people's daily lives and lots of different companies. But what's your workflow, and what are the sort of tools you're using to help with that? Like just standouts, because I think there's just, as you said, there's an overwhelming amount, and I'm really keen to understand what people are using.
Yeah, so I think we've reached this point now where we have a kind of core experiences defined, and I feel like as things are changing, we add like new features in. So now it's like, for example, we just started working on a new feature, which is, we're thinking of a better name for it, but it's called like custom UI, where you basically, I think like automations and workflows are sometimes very hard to visualize other than the kind of nodes that you would have. And we got some user feedback that, sometimes people would build the automation and then they would go somewhere else and create a front end for it, like on Lovable or Vizier or something, and use the thing that they built on Codewords as a back end. And then we're like, okay, well, why don't we just add the UI element to the product as well? Because that's actually the simpler part for us. Like the back end was the harder part for us to build. So we've added this feature now where you can basically bring your automations to life, like bring a bit of a face to it. So for example, if you want to share it with someone else, it's much easier to consume than if you just built it on your own. So in terms of like my workflow, like I was like, okay, so
Could I interject that? Just so what does that mean? Like in terms of you're saying that bring to life your automation?
yeah, I am. It's actually, yeah. I was like, I feel like it was I need to find a better way of explaining it, but it's basically like, just to like explain it to you, it's like, so for example, say I built something that, yeah, exactly like scrapes the LinkedIn comments, and then I get an output like within Codewords or something. Now I want to share this with someone else. I want to maybe make it like a SaaS tool that I can sell, where like it's like a LinkedIn comment scraper, and I just package it up into a UI and I sell it to other people. So now you can actually do that. You can like build a UI on top of it and share it, and like say I would share like linkedin-scraper.com or whatever with you, and then all you need to do is just put in your like the URL, and then you'll get the output on this like landing page or something. And so basically anything that you build now, you can just sell it as like a mini SaaS tool or share it with people. So like, how like right now it's a bit of like this era of like personal software where like you just build things for yourself. But I think there's still a lot of people who don't want to build, like, or maybe I think like sometimes we're like maybe in a little bit of a bubble where like we're like everyone is like building and doing things. But I think there's still a lot of people who just want to consume and have something ready to use. So I think basically having this UI layer on top helps people like build something, but then share it with other people who can just consume that automation.
It's been in the press, obviously, last couple of weeks or so, in terms of the stock market regards to SaaS companies, right? And yeah, so you guys are kind of part of
I know. Sometimes I feel like even when I describe the company as like automation, like I think there's like a little bit of a interesting sentiment around that for good reason. But I think I feel like right now everyone is empowered to just build whatever software they want. Like for example, even for myself, like this is a very random example, but like sometimes I have like so many Substacks bookmarked, and I'm like, okay, at some point I'm going to read it, and I was just like not getting time to do that, and I was like, I wish I could just listen to it, and so I was like, okay, let me just create a quick tool that like turns any article into an audio, and I literally was on a road trip and I did it in the car on my phone, and it basically the tool is that I have a WhatsApp group now, and anytime in the WhatsApp group I send a link to that article, after like 2 minutes it generates an audio of that article and I could just listen to it. And that was just like something that I just wanted, and I just built quickly on my phone, and then I could consume it within like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But in terms of your idea that you made, which is cool, really cool, it sounds like you're on your desktop, you get the link to the Substack, you send it to WhatsApp to yourself, say, and then when you're in the car, you click on that link, it'll open up.
It generates like it basically, I don't even need to be on my desktop at all. Like I'm just on my phone the whole time. So then the sort of artifact or the output that I created is like a WhatsApp group in which right now is just me, but I can add anyone else. And the sort of input is like a link to an article, and the output is an audio of the article that is within WhatsApp, as if like someone sends you a voice note, and it's like a generated one from like 11 Labs or something.
Yeah.
Anytime you just want to have an audio of an article, you just like put the link into the WhatsApp group, and then you just get it after a few minutes. And that's like, I don't know if anyone else wants that, but I was like, I want that. And so let me just build it quickly. And then the idea now is that, okay, if other people want it, then I can like potentially sell it as a SaaS tool, but I don't have to, because other people can also just make it themselves.
Let's say that, we've got Monday.com, you've got things like Miro, you've got Atlassian, all these companies, SaaS-based companies. Some are so complex that maybe someone's not going to go, okay, we're a big company, we're not going to go and make, well, we're big enough maybe to make our own version, but maybe if I'm a company that's maybe not big enough to make our own version, I don't know, maybe who isn't, like if one person can do it.
Yeah.
What do you see in regards to where things are going? If, say, everyone can just make a tool really quickly, not everyone wants to do that, but when the price is free pretty much versus, potentially £100 a month per seat for a SaaS-based software, where do you see things going?
I think, like you said, there's still going to be people who don't want to build and who still just want to consume. So I don't think it's going to go away completely, but I think the sort of per seat model itself, like within just as a pricing model, is going to change. Like I think we're moving more towards usage-based, where you just pay for what you use. And we also internally had a huge discussion about, do we have subscriptions? Do we have, just let people top up as they need? Do we have a combination? But I think this whole per seat sort of way of pricing things is going to change. I think we'll still have SaaS tools, but I think we'll have like ones that are very complex to build and maintain. Because I think one thing that I've noticed is it is easy to build, but maintaining and scaling is still really hard. And I think still building is just one part of a company. Like there's still so many, and like I think I saw like a post that was like, code is actually just 5% of what a company does. Like there's so many other things outside of that, like the marketing, the growth, and I feel like more time will be spent on those kind of things rather than like how to build.
I'm sure you're using Codewords for your flow. But what is your flow, and what tools that are not obviously Codewords that you're using, and at what moments, like what are you using for design? What are you using to maybe, summarize things quickly, or record, get meeting notes from meetings and stuff like that?
Yeah, whenever I have something new it depends on the task, of course, but it's like, for example, if I'm working on a new feature, then I'll still have a similar workflow to what I would do before, where, I just spend some time absorbing a lot of like information. How are other people doing it? Just spending some time like understanding the problem a bit more. But I think within that stage, now I'll use, automation and different tools like much more. Like, like I would use Codewords to, say I need to capture all the home pages of specific AI tools. I'll just prompt it and say, just send me all of the home pages of these 10 companies on Slack, and then it'll send it to me instead of me going like one by one to each website.
And it'd be the up-to-date ones, or would it be it's taking them from the website and not taking it from Google Images or something like that?
Like taking a screenshot of the latest website and then sending it to me. And this like was not even possible within Codewords like 2 months ago. Like this is like new features that are being added all the time. But I'll maybe like start with that, and then a lot of iteration, honestly. Like I'll create a prototype maybe on V0 or Figma Make. But I've kind of started using V0 quite a lot for just prototyping an initial idea, and then I'll try and get feedback from users. So we have like a like a sort of power user group or like beta testers that we usually go to whenever we have new ideas and we want to test them. So yeah, let's set up some interviews with them. Again, as part of like the interview setting up, I'll try and use an automation tool to do that.
So how's it? So you're doing the interview. You're using your own, using Codewords to do this process, or using a different tool?
Yeah, once I actually have the like user interview, again, to prepare, I'll do that workflow that I mentioned to you, where I'll ask Cody, like, okay, I'm going to talk to this user now. Tell me what they're doing. What are some good questions to ask? This is a new feature that I want to discuss with them.
When you said what are they doing,
Like, what are they building? What are they where are they getting stuck?
what are they building code
With Codewords? Yeah.
And so obviously, because it's your product, you know what they're building because it just obviously looks through their account and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So okay,
Exactly.
so okay, so you can tell, you can see everything that, I guess it will just summarize everything they're kind of prompting, or themes around themes and stuff like that.
It doesn't look at like word to word kind of stuff, but it will, see maybe what the output was, and see, maybe if they were facing a lot of errors or getting stuck somewhere. So it tells me like that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of prepared and I understand this user a bit more. But I feel like that's only one part of it. Like, that's a bit of the quantitative data, and I feel like once I'm talking to them, I get a much better understanding. So it's not like that would replace the conversations or anything. But then, yeah, while I'm having the actual call, I'm using Granola a lot for the note taking, or Notion note taking as well. And then after that, again, I've done another automation where like it would take me a lot of time to kind of take the notes.
Could you not use Codewords for the note taking though? Why using Granola and Notion?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I think it's just part. I could. We actually created a Codewords bot that would be like in the meetings, but then I feel like you don't really want to do that. Like, I like the user experience more of Granola and Notion.
There's so good thing there, isn't it? We were speaking about, if everyone can make their own product, what's the differentiator?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of, it could be a SaaS product or whatever. SaaS can still exists, maybe not to the same level potentially, but there is going to be taste, doesn't that taste?
Exactly.
And someone could copy the taste maybe, but then now you're getting into, as you said, but there's other pieces to making it really good and supporting it and so on. So yeah, that's interesting. Taste is key, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think like, especially now in this era where anyone can build anything, like that is I still strongly believe that design is the differentiator. Like, I am biased, but I just feel like if you have the same two tools, but one just feels like gets me and looks better and feels better, like I'm going to use that.
That's also interesting, isn't it? Do you think that design then is more of a USP for companies now, because it is potentially the differentiator, isn't it? If everyone can make everything and you need to differentiate your product design, I mean, how important, maybe like is it 10% or whatever it may be, to differentiate you from someone else? Do you think that's where our more of a designer's USP becomes going forward, because we're not spending as much time prototyping and so on?
I think so, yeah. I think, yeah, again, I'm biased, but I feel like it's like even when I talk to other people and other startups and founders, that the main roles that they're always hiring for are like founding engineer and founding designer. I feel like there is like now this increased understanding that design is the differentiator. And I feel like design beyond like visual design, but it's like that ability to, translate this complex AI and technology to something that's actually useful for people. Because I think that's really hard to do. And I think that's something that a lot of people maybe don't realize, that is like the designer's role as well, people outside of design. But yeah, I do feel like that it is a differentiator.
Okay, so you're using Granola, Notion for recording notes. You're obviously using Codewords. What other tools, and maybe design tools? What specifically?
Usually when I'm happy with the prototype and I've gotten the feedback, I'll create. That's kind of when I go to Figma now. I don't know if this workflow is going to change, or like the order of things, because I feel like before you would start in like Figma, but
So you don't start in Figma. You would you use Codewords to build the prototype, like just a rough one?
no, I would start with like V0 to build the prototype.
Okay, V0, yeah.
So I'll use that to build the prototype. But I could also, now that we have the UI thing, I would probably now start with Codewords as well, because Codewords also has the context of our own product. So that would probably be better. But for now, I'll start with a prototype based on my understanding of what a good experience is. I'll try and make it similar to, to our product. And then I'll sort of share that with users. And then once that sort of experience and interaction is very clear to me, then I'll go and design it on Figma. That kind of works for me right now.
And why do you design it in Figma? Because you're going from obviously prototyping, fully interactive to static screens, probably.
Yeah, because then it sort of comes to the time where you actually have to build. And to be honest, I think that this process is going to change in the next few weeks. And it's already starting to change where, to be honest, I could just go to Cursor directly and build off our existing sort of design system and create some of these new features in. But when it's like a brand new feature, I prefer to still start in Figma. When it's something totally new and I need to start from scratch. But if it's something that's just like some changes to the existing screens, then I, to be honest, would skip Figma and I would just go directly to Cursor and make those changes.
So, okay, so you're using V0 to come up with a prototype, which is kind of like base 44. And
yeah, exactly. I could use base 44, I could use Lovable, I could use Figma Make. Like that's just for now my preferred tool of choice, but it might change.
Okay, so you use that comes up with a prototype, you get feedback. Then with that feedback, then you go, okay, I'm ready to build it now. You're saying that then that's when you go into Figma, but really what you're kind of doing now is how are you translating V0 stuff, then going into Cursor? Or you're saying that's not happening now, but
I'm not doing it right now, but I think I should start doing that now. Yeah.
Have you seen that happening? You're the only designer, so
Yeah. I've seen it more from like people I've spoken to and stuff where they're using like the Figma MCP to like Claude Code or to Cursor.
yeah.
So we're starting to use that now as well, where we can just easily take like the Figma design into Cursor and then sort of add the states and interactions from there. But I still prefer to have like the first sort of UI kind of set in Figma for now.
So when you design it in Figma, are you doing what then happens? You're just sharing the link like we typically have done, the link with engineers, and engineers are just going into dev mode and just pulling the screens and building.
It's almost like I just start there, but sometimes either I myself would then take that to Cursor via the MCP, and then I would have it in like my local, and then I would build on it. And then I would, if I get stuck anywhere, then I would bring in, our front-end engineer, and then we would talk about it. And then if I can finish it, and ship it myself, I will. If not, then, I'll hand it over to him and he'll like finish it. So that's kind of the process now. And that's really just for like new features. I think for, say I need to just change, I don't know, like a drop down or some copy and stuff, that I just do all of that myself now.
So Cursor you're using to obviously make changes to the live build, you're saying, when it's copy small changes?
Well, it was actually quite interesting for me because I started with small, it was very gradual where like first I was like, oh, I can do this myself. And I was making copy changes and that's like the most basic thing now. But at that time it was so exciting. And then I took it, then there were some other features that we really wanted and they were always in the backlog. And I was like, oh, like, when are we going to get to this? And so, yeah, one day we just like sat together, set up everything. And I started doing more complex things. Like, for example, right now it was always like chat and canvas. And I was like, we need to add like a full chat mode. So then I was able to do that myself in via Cursor. And then the latest thing that I worked on was voice mode because
when you used Cursor, did you use Figma as well?
For that, no.
So it's literally all Cursor. So your design system was being pulled from.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, we have the design system in Storyblock now. So yeah, so it is using the design system. So I think whenever there's things that are new and that are not part of the design system, that's when I kind of go to Figma. But if there's something that is, already using existing components, then I can just do it directly on Cursor. And then, yeah, the latest thing that I worked on was voice mode. So basically speech to text. So yeah, just, again, it was something that was in our backlog and we were like, oh, it's like a nice to have. Like, why would you want to build, an automation with your voice? Like, that doesn't make sense. But then actually a lot of people were telling us that they need help understanding what the automation should be. And they just want to talk about the problem rather than the solution. So a lot of people now just come and then they just describe like, what is their problem? And then via voice, and then the automation is built then it kind of continues via chat, but the starting point is via voice, and people have found that quite useful actually.
That's amazing. And that's where, like, we have this term design engineer, right, happening, and it is blurring, isn't it? It's like, there's what's your take on that? Where do you think, because we're seeing the similar thing where you can go in and just make changes to the actual live build. So what's your take on how's that going to go? And also the role of a PM. You don't have a PM.
Yeah, we never had a PM in our company. I think because we were so small, kind of our co-founder was taking the role of the PM because he was previously PM as well. But then as we started growing a bit, then now it's kind of I would say a combination of a few of us kind of making product decisions where we'll for example with prioritization, like we'll take into account like user feedback and what are like the business priorities and stuff, and we'll me, the engineer, and the co-founder will sit together and make decisions about what should we focus on next. So that's kind of how we make those decisions. I think with regards to the design engineer, I think there's still like a really good design engineer I feel is actually an engineer who has like really good taste and is a really good designer as well. So I feel like that's still like, I don't know, I feel like those roles might merge, might not. But I have noticed that kind of the need for more people in smaller teams at least has decreased. Like we were going to hire a product engineer and then like another product engineer, and then we were like, oh, okay, I'm able to ship some stuff. So it was like, do we really need another product engineer? So I feel like those conversations are happening much more now, and I think the teams and the roles are like blurring so much. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's an exciting time to be working in this space either way, because I personally feel like more empowered to do things that I always wanted to try.
AI startups are notoriously known for just being crazy in terms of how busy they are. And all companies are, right? Lots of companies are busy, but in terms of some are requiring, 5 days in the office, 9 to 5 standard. And then some are a bit flexible, but I think they're in a minority, right? The flexible ones. What's it like? I understand that your one is quite good, like good work-life balance and so on. But it'd be good to share, your experience of that, because I think maybe the minority in regards to that balance.
I thought that was kind of normal, but now the more I talk about it, I feel like it makes me appreciate my environment more. But we're basically in the office twice a week, like Mondays and Thursdays, and we're kind of encouraged to have focus time, because I think we all appreciate that there's just so much noise out there, and we need days which are just full of meetings and days where we're just focusing on what we need to do. So we basically have like the Mondays and Thursdays as like workshops, meetings. Like you don't expect to get any like focus time on those days and get any work, well, not work done, but like like individual work done. But then on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, we're basically just kind of doing our own thing. And so I feel like it's quite flexible. And I wouldn't say the hours are like super crazy, but obviously it depends on busier times versus less busy times. Like next week we have a launch, so it'll be a bit busier.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good balance. Which like I said, I think there might be a rare case. How do you feel about the need to obviously look into existing tools? Like it's kind of part of your competitive analysis almost, isn't it, really? Not just to help you make sure that your company is working efficiently and fast, but it's you're kind of at the same time, every tool kind of helps you understand where you guys would go. So how do you feel? Is it energizing knowing that you've got to try loads of tools out, or do you feel it's a little bit overwhelming?
Yeah, I feel like each day feels a bit different. Like I think in general it is energizing. Like I feel like I'm anyway quite curious about these things, so I would anyway look into it like in my free time. So it's kind of nice to kind of have it as part of my job, like, and encouraged. But I think I have to just, for my own sort of like sanity, kind of manage which tools I look at, how much time I spend on them, and what I don't look at. So I kind of try to filter through things that I think are either like relevant to a problem that I'm actually trying to solve at that time. And if I'm like, okay, it looks like these guys are doing something similar, or they've solved it in a good way, then I want to check them out and try it properly. Or if I really like their design and like their user experience, and I feel like I'd like to try it out and get inspired as well. So I have to be kind of selective, I feel. So I definitely don't try every tool out there. I do have FOMO often, but I think I've become a little better at filtering now.
Yeah. How do you manage that balance of trying things out? Because you're right, like personally, I spend a lot of time trying different tools out.
Mm.
And then you spend quite a bit of time on a tool, and then you're like, actually, that one's not that great yet. But you have to do that, don't you? You have to know you want to be ahead of the game, sort of thing, and you need to do it, explore it to know if it is going to be a thing. So if you've got any kind of process to anyone who's listening to how they might prioritize when to kind of explore things, is it a case of, oh, there was a LinkedIn post and loads of people shouted about it, I should probably look at that thing? Or is it a bit more, okay, that is trying to tackle this problem and that's a problem that's particularly interesting though, or we need to solve or something? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely the latter. Like that's what I always try to do. I think also, yeah, like for example, recently there was like this hype about like called bot, and I don't know if you saw that this week. Yeah, like this and last week as well. And I feel like
To Figma.
yeah, that was one. And then like I just feel like that was, I think sometimes when there is hype and you repeatedly see it and you're almost even expected as a company to have some view on it, I feel like that's when I also like spend some time on it. But
Did you try it?
yeah, I tried it.
I tried it. I wasn't too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I feel like I try things and it's funny because we judge things so fast, and like and then that also makes me realize like, oh my gosh, like the first few seconds of the experience is so important even for our own product. Um and so so I feel like I try it for that as well, just to see, even if I know I can't spend too much time on it, I just want to see what the first like minute is like. Again, just to get inspired and see if it's something worth spending time on. Um yeah, and I guess like also our team is quite good. Like we have a Slack channel where we have like tools and competitors and stuff. So we'll post different things that we've all seen. So I feel like everyone kind of shares things and talks about things. So that's kind of helps with the filtering as well. And I feel like it's like a bit of a team effort as well.
Any advice to anyone who's thinking about maybe joining a startup, AI startup, that you might give, or some questions that they maybe should consider or think about?
Yeah, it's funny because I joined this company in like end of 2024, and when it was like at that time it was like, oh, okay, it's an AI company. Like I feel like that's like a good space to be in for me to learn. And now it's just like you said, everything is an AI company.
You don't need .ai after your URL anymore. It'd be like what we had before, right? OS and stuff.
I think about like what do you want to spend your time on and what do you want to learn? I think definitely being part of a startup is the best way to learn really fast, because you have, I think I'm not sure how like all startups are, but I feel like in general there is like this, feeling of, autonomy that you have, and that you can, really control things and have quite a big impact and spend time on, things that you think are worth spending time on. And there's really no limits. So I feel like it's the kind of, that like is really rare. So I feel like if that's something that you really want to do, then it's really worth joining a startup. But I think also think about if, it is very energy sapping and in like a good way, but also sometimes obviously tiring.
But it sounds like you're working there, like, it's not like it's tiring, maybe, as in like it requires a lot of cognitive processing.
Yeah, but not like late. Yeah, timers it's fine, but yeah, sometimes I'll finish, even at like 6 or something, and I'll be like so tired. But like, for like after that, AI or not, just like startup in general as well is like, think about if you are okay working kind of on your own, versus if you really want to have a team, because I think, and what I mean by team, like design team, because I think like I have like I'm kind of working quite independently. Like I'm able to work with freelancers when I need. And I'm quite lucky that my team, they give me a lot of design input and we all like brainstorm together. But it's very different from, working on a bigger design team. And sometimes it is really nice to have, other like fellow full-time designers that you can talk to and, bounce around ideas with. And so, I think just think about what's important to you. But actually, in that way, AI has been quite helpful for me.
Okay, so it sounds like the best thing about it is obviously you'll learn fast because there's lots going on. It sounds like you got good work-life balance. How about your what's the worst thing about working at an AI startup?
Yeah, I think just the noise, like just like the urgency.
Urgency from your own company, or just urgency because there's the outside pressures, or
I think like there is like something that you definitely want to prove. Like you want to, especially when you really know, like you really feel like your product is good and like people just don't know about it, or they haven't tried it, or they don't understand the best way to use it. So I feel like there's always like this feeling like you're never done. You're always like, oh, there's like, even like honestly every day I'm like, oh, like I need to do that, or every week I'm like, oh, there's like so much more I want to do. So I feel like there is always like this feeling of incompleteness, but not in a bad way, but just, you're never like truly done. And I think there is like this feeling of wanting to prove yourself in general and um stand out from the crowd, but not add to the noise in some way, which is quite hard.
not add to the noise. So you mean not go on a podcast and talk about all the AI tools? You mean?
I don't know.
No, or do you mean add to the noise as in like sharing stuff all the time stuff?
Even with myself, I'm thinking about, obviously like we want to share and we want to post, we want to be more out there, but I'm like, I really just want to post like quality things and things that I actually think will help people.
There's only 8 people at your company. I don't know if we said that.
Actually, now 9.
There's 9. So that's super small, right? That is startup. And you joined when, how many people were there when you joined?
Actually, when I joined, it was similar, and then the team has changed quite a lot. So I think the smallest we've been was 6, but now we're back up to 9.
So I wanted to ask, what is a strong feeling you had about design that you've had, for maybe a number of years, but is now maybe changed?
When I first got into design, um, I was mainly focusing on like the visual part of design. And I think I've realized like over time that like now it feels so obvious, but that design is so much of like what you don't see and about the experience and like the interactions and what you choose like not to show. And I think that's really hard actually. Like I think anytime we have like any like problem that we're trying to solve and we're like, oh yeah, like we're like, how do we make the user understand this? And we're like, okay, someone is like, oh, just add it to the product and like we just write it there. And I'm like, no, like it's like you cannot, do it like that.
I think that's a good like point you were making though, that I think we all got, like when we first started, we all got into it. Maybe because we liked solving problems, but also we liked the creativeness, if you like, of it, the visuals, and we probably use beautiful products, right? And when we use them, we're like, oh, this is amazing. And then seeing, a delightable in the UX and the UI and stuff. And then we're like, oh, that's cool. And then that's kind of maybe what we kind of got us in. Maybe that was the carrot, potentially.
Yeah.
The initial carrot. And then after that, the carrot is really, you actually understand maybe the product more, like you understand why you're making things and the problem solving and helping people and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think like even like now the way that we're designing is so different in terms of like this capability first approach where it's like first, you would just be like, okay, this is the user, this is the pain point that we're trying to solve. Like, okay, design something, iterate, hand it over to engineers, like ship. And that was kind of the process. And I feel like now it's so much about, taking that time at the beginning to also just understand like what is this like AI agent capable of and what are the skills that we want to give it, and how does that fit into what brings value to the user, and like I feel like there's so many other things to think about, and it's almost like like I was saying, like what you don't show to the user and is almost equally as important as what you show to the user. So I feel like that's sort of something that I've learned over time. It's almost like the more you think about it and the more thoughtful you are in terms of the design, the almost less you see in some of the experiences. I'm not saying that like every product should be like super empty and stuff, but I just think especially with these like AI tools, like it's just so much about the way that you communicate with it rather than what you see.
What's your plan in terms of, I don't know if I say 5 years, but let's say 3 to 5 years. Is it, you know, obviously you're at Codewords now, and is it to like, be there and the company to grow and just be like a staple of the company? And obviously that's yeah, you're not going to say you want to leave or something like that. But I mean, is it to maybe do your own startup, or is it to join maybe a big tech company? Like, what do you have? Do you have a particular plan, or is it just to learn, or you're just going to see what happens? Or
Yeah, whenever I start feeling like I want to like figure out what to do next or if I want to change things, I think about like what am I learning and do I really want to be spending time learning this? Because I also used to always be like, as long as I'm learning, I'll stay in the same place. But you have to be selective with what you learn as well, because there's always something to learn. So like, is this relevant to what I want to be doing in the future? So honestly, right now, like I feel like I am learning loads and I am really enjoying like being able to ship things myself and, just experiment a lot. So for now, I'm kind of, yeah, I want to see how that goes and I want to scale the team as well. But yeah, maybe eventually do my own thing as well. I think what I was saying about the team, like having a bigger team, like I think I would also like to experience that. Um, so yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'll see how things go.
yeah, it's funny, the people in big teams are like, oh, I wish I didn't have to maybe align and collaborate, which is fantastic, is lovely, but then maybe align with so many people to get things done. And then but it's just human nature, isn't it? Just always, um, yeah, you go from one thing to another. And then, yeah, as you say, when I've worked in startups or smaller companies, I felt the same. I want to work with lots of other designers who are challenging me or whatever, and whatever that means. And so, yeah, it's ongoing. No matter where people go, it'll always be a thing, won't it? Was there anything you wanted to ask me? If there's not, then feel free not to. But is there anything?
Yeah, I would love to like hear more about what I guess yeah, you mentioned like what you're working on in terms of like the AI tooling. But I'm curious, just like yeah, what is like the sentiment in like bigger companies? Like, is there like a sense of urgency as well? Like, is it um yeah, or is it kind of more positive and kind of like let's embrace this? Like, what is the general vibe of bringing like AI in everyone's workflows?
I think operating almost like their like startup or whatever. Like a startup would probably go, okay, we need to use loads of tools and make sure we're on the cutting edge of things so we can, be safe and be relevant and make sure we're good. But in some other maybe more legacy type companies, maybe might not do that. Whereas my experience has been very kind of embracing of new things, which is good because going back to your point, if you're always learning, as long as you're learning the right things, then that's motivating, isn't it? But I think people always want to feel like they're growing and developing and not stagnant. And so I think some of the big companies that are are doing that. They are embracing it, and I think that's good for the people who are open to change and the unknown a little bit. It is a little bit scary because yeah, it is unknown. But if you're curious, then it's a great time, isn't it, to work out these things. I think being selective with your time, as we kind of touched on, like any designers out there, like there's so many tools. I don't know who to listen to, what to focus on. You could probably just maybe do your own audit as well of like what are the maybe emerging products or maybe emerging things to use. And obviously it's changing week by week, but it's starting to be like a little bit of a narrowing. Maybe it probably mushroom out, but yeah, like and then choose what things to work on or maybe to play with and stuff. And also think about what your company's goals are as well and how that fits into them. So I think there are a number of big companies who are embracing it. And some people are maybe not, maybe feeling overwhelmed by it. And then some people are obviously okay with that. And then there's some people who are probably in the middle. Some people are also, even I imagine very senior people who are almost just kind of waiting to see what happens a little bit, because some people are, not fully bought in. It goes up and down, doesn't it, with the stock market at the moment? And obviously what's happened over the last couple of weeks with investors' consideration for AI and so on, and then we know that OpenAI have just gone in for, it's over 100 billion. I mean, if they get that, then that's crazy, isn't it?
I think it's also interesting how they've introduced ads, if you heard. And then it's quite funny because I feel like Claude, have you seen those campaigns on Claude being very anti-ad? And I think it's just so clever, like the whole sentiment around it. And yeah, I was gonna ask a different question as well, was how do you see the future of the designer role as well? Is it also similar to the design engineer, or curious what do you see a designer doing in 3 years or so?
How you said you were considering getting someone in, but then actually you don't need that person. So I think, consolidation, maybe you don't need as many, but I'll caveat that in a moment. So maybe you don't need as many. And then, so I see that. And then I do see it basically merging with the engineer. So that's already happening. It gets closer together. And then it's going to be companies who, they get an engineer and then maybe they want someone just to focus more on because the design stuff is almost in terms of talking to, like you said, that's if you're spending a lot of time talking to users. I spoke to other startup people working at startups, and a lot of their work at a startup is actually doing the UX, doing the testing. And I know that some companies have even got their engineers doing that piece, so they're building it, testing it, coming back. But there's usually too much to do for the engineer anyway, on that side. So it kind of ends up falling on the remit of the designer. So I see basically less people, consolidation of efforts. So they're doing design, they're doing a bit of UXR, they're doing actually getting the people to test, which I've actually never done. Anywhere I've worked, I've never actually done the recruiting bit, which you're doing. You could say you're a master of none type thing.
Honestly, yeah.
Not you, but that's potentially where it's going, isn't it? You don't need to be, if you think about it, we had UX designer. I worked at an agency. We had UX people who using basically loads of wireframes, black and white. And then you had a UI designer who's just using a design system. And so even that role was separate. And already, obviously, that product design role got rid of that. And so they've merged, and maybe there are still some companies who have got UX and UI, I don't know.
And UX copywriters.
Yeah, we had micro copy, we have CDs, content designers and so on. So those roles consolidate. So you already can see that kind of narrowing of roles. And then it's going to be about people, isn't it? And your experiences. So why do you get a job? It's not because you're a designer, it's because of designer. It's because of your experience, what you've done. Is it relevant to what the company's doing or going to do? So that's kind of how I see it. But the counter argument to that is that if you need less people to do more, then everyone needs less people to do more. So then the opposite happens, then more people, then we go, okay, that company has got one designer, we're going to get two, so we can go faster than that. So if everything's fast and it's all about speed, then it goes the other way, doesn't it? You just need more people then.
That's true, yeah.
But at the moment, there's the constricting, but I think it could go the other way where they need to go faster because they just need more people doing more things. It's just a numbers game at that point. But, you might say agents take care of a lot of that as well. So then maybe it's the person just managing the agents.
I feel like I'm already seeing that with where a lot of people are saying that, even our engineers, I feel like they're spending less time coding and they're just sort of checking the output and QAing and, making sure that, the code is the code doesn't even have to be as clean as it used to be, as long as it's, it does what it needs to. And I feel like I'm seeing something similar with design as well, where this time last year, you wouldn't be able to prompt to a good UI, but now it's it is kind of like getting closer to that, especially if you have a good design system set up. So I feel like a lot of it is going to be like building things with agents and kind of sort of checking and iterating. Because I feel like I'm already seeing that right now. So it is going to be a lot about like managing agent output and scaling from there.
It sounds like you're very much in a super interesting space, right? Place as well to be hands-on with all of that. And if you're effectively building agents, like you're designing for agents. That's such a minute.
It's almost like there's so many overlapping terms at this point. Like it's like agent, assistant, it's like tool. But it is basically like, because it's interesting because even in user interviews, we always ask them, how would you describe Codewords? Yeah. And like people say like, oh, it's an AI that does everything, or like, yeah, it's an assistant that does this. So it's always interesting to see how people describe it. There's still no like single term, to be honest. Someone even called it a machine the other day, but yeah. But I would say, to be honest, I feel like the easiest way to understand it is an agent. So yeah.
Okay, we do this thing where we kind of just ask what question you'd want to ask for the next person. That's kind of the thing, how we end it. And so what question, if you were to ask the next person, obviously you don't know who that next person is, probably involved in AI. They're probably, they're obviously going to be a product designer. So what question might you ask them?
I mean, I am really curious on people's takes on, the future of this role. So I would just ask generally what they think that is in like 3 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years of it. And what they're most excited about and what they're most worried about.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for answering all my questions, and the discussion was great. And I learned a lot as well. I learned lots. So thank you.
No, thank you. That was fun.